Why are there not more people talking about the incredible courage of Cindy Parolin? Welcome to Scary Tales, Animal Encounters. If you enjoy our content, please like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest stories. The sun dripped gold through the towering pines. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. On August 19, 1996, 36-year-old Cindy Parolin and her 3 children were riding horses in the Similkameen backcountry, 30 miles northwest of Princeton, British Columbia. They were a family who loved the outdoors, drawn to the raw beauty of the British Columbia wilderness. This ride, they believed, was just another adventure, a chance to reconnect with nature and each other. Little did they know they were riding into a story that would forever change their lives, a tale etched in courage and tragedy. The trail wound its way through dense foliage, sunlight dappling the forest floor. Like their mother, 6-year-old Stephen, 11-year-old Melissa, and 13-year-old David felt a mixture of wonder and excitement as they traveled through the vast wilderness. The serenity of the wilderness wrapped around them, a comforting blanket against the humdrum of everyday life. They were deep in the heart of the wilderness, miles from civilization, surrounded by nature's grandeur. It was a place where the whispers of the wind carried secrets, and the shadows held the promise of the unknown. This was their happy place, a sanctuary where they felt truly alive. Each step forward brought them closer to the heart of the wilderness and further away from the ordinary. They were immersed in the moment, their senses heightened by the crisp air and the symphony of birdsong. Suddenly, a mountain lion attacked, shattering the tranquility and throwing them into chaos. The forest seemed to hold its breath. The playful chatter of the children faded, replaced by a hushed silence. Cindy felt a prickle of unease crawl up her spine, a primal instinct warning of an unseen danger. The air, once invigorating, now felt heavy, thick with an unspoken threat. She glanced at her son David, his brow furrowed with a similar concern. They had ventured deep into the wilderness, into the territory of wild creatures. The terrain grew steeper, the trail narrowing into a rocky path. Towering pines cast long, eerie shadows, obscuring the undergrowth. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it the scent of something wild, something predatory. Cindy's grip tightened on her reins, her senses on high alert. She scanned the woods, her eyes searching for any sign of movement, any hint of danger. They were in the heart of Cougar country, a fact that had always lingered at the back of their minds. They had taken precautions, made noise while they rode. But now, as the forest grew darker and the silence deepened, those precautions felt woefully inadequate. The wilderness, once a source of comfort, now felt like a menacing presence, watching and waiting. A flash of movement, a blur of tawny fur, and a guttural snarl shattered the stillness. A large cougar, its eyes burning with primal hunger, emerged from the undergrowth. Its powerful muscles coiled, ready to strike. Terror, raw and consuming, gripped Cindy's heart. She saw the predator's gaze fix on her youngest child, a look of chilling intent. Time seemed to distort, stretching into an eternity of fear as the cougar tensed, poised to attack. The cougar lunged, a blur of claws and teeth. The cougar missed its target, landing on the horse just in front of the boy's saddle. The big cat scrambled to cling to the horse's neck but lost its grip and fell to the ground. Undeterred, the snarling cougar leapt again, trying to pull Stephen from the saddle. This time, it only managed to grab a sock and shoe, but the frightened horse's contortions caused the boy to fall to the ground. The cougar was on him in an instant, wrapping the struggling child in a clawed death grip. Cindy watched in horror as the cougar bared its fangs and sank them into her son's skull. As an experienced outdoors woman and avid hunter, she knew her son had mere seconds to live. His neck could be broken, his skull crushed, or an artery severed by the lion's powerful jaws. If only she had her rifle. But hunting season was weeks away, and Canadian firearms laws made carrying a gun in the off-season nearly impossible. She had to act fast. The cougar, its fangs bared in a menacing snarl, stood over Stephen, its eyes burning with a primal hunger. Letting out a thunderous scream, the desperate mother leapt from her horse and rushed to Stephen's aid. Fueled by adrenaline, Cindy snapped a sturdy limb from a fallen tree and clubbed the cougar away from her child. The lion then turned its full attention to her, slashing her arm with a swipe of its paw and leaving a deep gash. The idyllic family ride had transformed into a scene of unimaginable terror. Pain, sharp and searing, ripped through Cindy's body. Driven by maternal instinct, Cindy fought back fiercely. Woman and Cougar became a blur of flashing claws, teeth, and flailing fists as they struggled on the ground. She was outmatched, outmuscled, but she refused to yield. Her children needed her, and she would fight for them until her last breath. The Cougar, taken aback by her ferocity, momentarily loosened its grip. Cindy seized the opportunity, her adrenaline-fueled strength pushing her beyond her limits. She writhed free from the creature's grasp, her body screaming in protest. Her blood stained the forest floor crimson, a testament to her struggle. But she was alive, and her children were still within her sight. Despite the chaos, she managed to scream for David and Melissa to take Stephen and run for help. With the horses scattered in the melee, the older siblings half-carried their bleeding brother over a mile back down the trail to the family car. The Cougar snarled, shaking its head violently, its eyes burning with rage and pain. But Cindy's heroics had given her children a fighting chance, a window of opportunity to escape the predator's wrath. Cindy, her body a tapestry of pain, stumbled to her feet. She watched her children, their eyes wide with terror, their small bodies trembling as they fled. Their retreat a desperate scramble through the undergrowth. Every step was agony, every breath a struggle. But they ran, driven by the primal instinct for survival, guided by the faint hope of escape. The forest spun around them, a blur of green and brown. They didn't dare look back, afraid to see the Cougar in pursuit. The trail, once a path of adventure, was now a desperate flight for survival. The scent of blood hung heavy in the air, a chilling reminder of the predator lurking in the shadows. Their lungs burned, their legs screamed for respite, but they pushed on, fueled by adrenaline and fear. They stumbled through the undergrowth, their clothes torn, their bodies battered. The sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor. The air grew colder, the wilderness around them taking on a menacing quality. They were lost, alone, and hunted. Their idyllic ride had become a fight for survival, a desperate race against time. As darkness descended, the older siblings half-carried their bleeding brother more than a mile back down the trail to the family car. Melissa stayed with Stephen in the vehicle, while David ran to a nearby campsite for help. The wilderness, once a source of joy, now felt like a prison, closing in on them. The chilling cries of coyotes echoed in the distance, adding to their despair. They were frightened, injured, and facing a long, terrifying night in the wilderness. But just when their hope began to dwindle, a glimmer of light pierced the darkness. David returned to his siblings with help. He enlisted the aid of Jim Mannion, who, directed by David, searched for Cindy. It had now been more than an hour since his mother had fought the cat off his younger brother. While searing, Mannion heard the mother's screams. Moving toward the agonized sounds, he came upon Cindy Parolin, still battling the Cougar. She turned to Mannion, a look of raging defiance in her eyes. "Are my children all right?" "Yes," Mannion answered. Cindy, her body racked with pain, summoned the strength to say in a half-whisper, "I am dying now." Parolin collapsed, but the cat still savaged her body. Although Mannion had armed himself with a 12-gauge pump shotgun, he had been afraid to shoot at the Cougar for fear of hitting the woman. He fired into the ground nearby, hoping to scare the lion off her limp body. It worked. Now the Cougar left the unconscious woman and advanced on Mannion. As the lion slinked toward him, Mannion tried to cycle a fresh round into the chamber, but his gun jammed. He backed up toward his pickup, desperately working to clear the weapon as the Cougar came on. At the last moment, Mannion cleared the gun and jacked in a fresh round just as the lion charged. With no time to aim, he leveled the scattergun at the cat and fired from the hip. The charge caught the Cougar a bit far back, but it was enough. The lion veered off to the side and disappeared into the dense brush along the road. Later, wildlife officers would find the dead animal lying about 150 feet from the trail. Mannion rushed to Parolin's aid, but she was beyond help, having traded her life for that of her son. The Cougar, driven by instinct and hunger, had paid the ultimate price for its attack. It was a tragic end, a stark reminder of the raw power and unpredictable nature of the wilderness. The encounter had left scars, both physical and emotional, on everyone involved. It was a story of survival, loss, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The physical wounds healed, but the emotional scars lingered. Stephen survived the near scalping inflicted by the cougar and made a full recovery after receiving 70 stitches in his head. Cindy Parolin was awarded the Star of Courage Medal posthumously by the Governor General of Canada. Her children, too young to fully comprehend the gravity of the situation, were nonetheless marked by the encounter. They were easily startled, their laughter tinged with a newfound anxiety. The wilderness, once a playground of adventure, now held a sinister undertone. The attack had shattered their sense of security, their innocence lost in the shadow of the cougar's claws. Their world, once filled with the carefree joy of childhood, now bore the weight of an experience that was both terrifying and incomprehensible. The wilderness, once a place of wonder, now held the specter of fear. Cindy Parolin was an extraordinary person. In battling the cougar to protect her children, she surpassed the normal limits of human bravery. Like, comment, and hit the notifications bell. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Savage Tales Animal Encounters.